Hey guys, I'm Randa. It's definitely weird for me to just be saying that by myself. I'm so used to doing videos with Nina, but today we decided we wanted to do separate videos where we could each talk about different stuff that we're learning. We have different perspectives and views, so we wanted to make our own separate videos. I wanted to take this time to talk about something that is very real, something that many people struggle with, and that is mental health and depression. According to the World Health Organization, 350 million people across the world suffer with depression. Depression is the leading cause of disability in the US, and it affects more than 16.1 American adults. Depression crosses economic boundaries, rich or poor, everyone is vulnerable. The thing is, you never really know what someone is going through because each person has a different story, and there are so many different reasons why people can become depressed. So today I wanted to open up a discussion about mental health and share some ways that people can help fight depression. There are so many different lifestyle choices and so many different things that can work that can help fight depression. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the stuff that I've learned through books and some stuff that I've found helps myself. I also want to add before I jump into this video that I'm not an expert, I'm not claiming to be. I just figured if this video helps at least one person, then that makes a difference, and that's what matters. I also wanted to say that if you are severely depressed, then I highly suggest you seek help in your life. Talk to a friend, talk to a teacher, talk to someone you trust or a professional, and get help, because if your sadness is prolonged and you can't figure out why you're depressed and you can't seem to get out of it, then get help, because your happiness is important. No one should live a life feeling unmotivated and sad all the time. With that being said, I'm going to be giving examples from a book I really enjoyed called The Depression Cure. It's by a doctor named Stephen S. Ilardi, and he gives his patients 6 different steps to follow to help with their depression. So I'm gonna list those 6 steps and you can try them out yourself. These are important things that everyone can implement into their life so that when life happens and something inevitably goes wrong and people get sad, you have the tools and some knowledge to help cope. So the first thing that he talks about in this book is getting enough exercise. And in this book, the doctor recommends to his patients that each of them get 30 minutes 3 days per week. He talks about how in the days of hunter-gathering, no one stayed depressed. Yes, of course they got sad and they grieved over lost loved ones, but they never stayed depressed because they had to focus on surviving. All day they were running on their feet, running from predators, getting food, and were in tip-top quality shape. We still have a Stone Age brain, and we still need to fulfill our needs in exercising. We're meant to move our body. When we work out, we actually release endorphins and get happy chemicals in our brain that can uplift our mood. And in today's day and age, many people spend their time in their car driving to work or sitting at their desk, and then they come home and they don't exercise. So we need to set aside time and make it a priority to exercise because it is part of our mental and physical health. And in the book, Dr. Ilardi's patients were surprised that they did see some significant improvement in their depression just by working out. And I know some people might think, well, I'm not in shape so I can't work out, but the thing is, just getting any physical activity, whether it be walking outside briskly, just anything you enjoy, really makes a difference. So the next step he talks about is diet. And in the book, he talks a lot about omega-3s. And I still don't understand the connection between omega-3s and depression, but I figured I'd mention it in case you want to do more research and learn about it. And I understand that some people might be depressed because their health is poor, and some people's health might be poor because they are depressed. Everyone deals with things in different ways. A friend I know who's cured their depression through diet was Andrew Taylor. He's also known as Spud. I'm gonna link him in the description. He has like a podcast and a YouTube channel, and he has more first-hand insight in dealing with this. But basically, by changing his diet, maybe he was either able to improve his serotonin levels, or he was able to feel like he was in control of his health and he was able to lose weight. Either way, I would definitely check him out so you guys can learn more. For me personally, I became depressed when I had severe cystic acne. I had no self-esteem. I did not want to leave my house. But at the same time, it was very evident what was causing me to be depressed. So when I was able to cure my acne, then my self-esteem came back and I didn't feel depressed anymore. So my point in saying that is your reason for being depressed could be totally different from someone else's. But if you are interested in learning what I did to change my diet and heal my acne, me and Nina wrote a book, so it's super exciting that it's going to be coming out April 10th. So if you do want to pre-order it, I will leave it linked in the description as well. We talked about how we cleared our skin through diet. We have recipes and we have skincare tips, so I think you guys would really enjoy it, and I'm super excited for you guys to see it. Another one of his steps, and this is super important for everybody, is community. Back in the hunter-gatherer days, we lived in communities with around 200 people and everyone was super, super close. We are social beings and our brain evolved the need to be around people, to protect, to feel safe. And when we don't get that human connection, our brain literally sends chemicals that make us feel like we are in a threat. In today's day and age, there are so many people in the world and we have social media to be connected, but it's not really a true, genuine connection where you can see how someone's doing and ask them how their day went and see their body language and just have someone to hug. And when we're with a good friend and when we're in conversation and when we're engaged, when we're in the moment, we don't have as much time to think about negative thoughts. I personally find that when I spend too much time alone, I get stuck in my head, and sometimes that voice in my head isn't that nice. But when I'm surrounded by people I care about and people who care about me, I don't have as much time to get stuck in my head, and I'm worrying less about stuff that makes me feel down. So actively take time to hang out with your friends and your family because it is crucial for our mental health. And if you're depressed because you feel like you don't have any friends, then taking action would definitely be beneficial. You just have to ask yourself, what do you like to do? And maybe you could find some friends who have the same interests as you. If you like soccer, maybe there's a local soccer league that you can join and make friends that way. Or maybe you can make friends through your religion. If you want to join a church, you can sign up for clubs at school or make friends with people who you work with. And I know that some people still might feel depressed because they feel like they don't even have any of these examples. But my point is, still try to find something. Even just the act of trying can make you feel better. So the next important step is vitamin D through sunlight. I've noticed that every single winter, when it starts to get cold and the days become shorter, I get a bit of seasonal affective disorder. And I know I am grateful that I'm in California, and some people are gonna say, well, you shouldn't even complain because I know it's so much worse in other areas, but it still does affect me. There's a huge link between depression and lack of sunlight. And by getting outside, getting that sun, we can reduce our risk of getting depression. The book I read also talks about these things called light boxes, and these are for people who live in super cold areas and they're not getting enough sunshine, but having that light stimulation can actually help with sleep patterns. So I would definitely look into that if you're in a place where it's super cold, maybe like London or somewhere super far north. And if you live in a sunny environment, make sure you're taking time to get outside, and you can even go for a walk, get exercise, and be with a friend, and then you're getting a bunch of steps in at once. Also, I want to add, this isn't getting vitamin D from a supplement. It's definitely important that you get the real deal from the sun. The next step is to stop rumination. The definition of rumination is a deep or considered thought about something. What it means in life is that you're sitting there thinking about the same negative thought over and over, and you just end up making yourself feel worse. And to be honest, I think everybody can be guilty of this. I know I'm guilty of it. The thing is, when you're ruminating and you're keep repeating thinking about the same negative thought, you're crowding out anything that's going good. While it is good to try and reflect and understand the world around us, when you're in a depressed state of mind, it can be easy to turn it into something negative. Dr. Ilardi said that something all of his depressed patients had in common was ruminating. And even though we think, oh, if I just spend a little bit more time thinking about it, I can figure out what went wrong. But the thing is, we generally never do, and we just end up feeling worse than we did before. In the book, he actually says to set a 10-minute timer, and if you haven't figured it out by then, just stop it in its tracks so that you can start taking the steps to become more positive. I find for me that if I meditate, I'm much more easily able to catch that negative voice in my head, so that might be something that you want to try as well. Dr. Ilardi also talked about that when his patients would still apply all of the other steps, if they continued ruminating, that they stayed depressed. So for me, I like to make sure I keep myself busy with work, I spend time with friends, I exercise to make sure that I don't get stuck in my head. I also want to talk about social media and specifically Instagram. Our brains are hardwired to compare. That is how our ancestors survived. When we continuously look at Instagram, we may not be thinking that we're consciously comparing, but it is hardwired in us. We are. And when you're seeing someone else's highlight reel, it might take away a bit of your own. So I'm not cursing Instagram, but I'm just saying you should be mindful with who you follow. If you find that you're feeling bad from looking at your Instagram feed or your popular page, then I would suggest maybe unfollowing people who make you feel bad. But on the other hand, social media can be used for good, and you can follow people that you feel like bring you up. The last step he mentioned in his book is sleep. I read that there is a huge link between sleep and depression. Sleep deprivation weakens the prefrontal cortex's reasoning ability to control the amygdala. emotions, making it difficult to process and cope with emotions. And chronic insomnia can increase the risk of someone developing anxiety or depression. I even notice in myself that when I don't get enough sleep, I start to feel low. And I've noticed that when I travel long distances and I don't get enough sleep and my internal clock is off, I feel extremely low. So I can't imagine someone who is chronically sleep deprived. I know it seems so simple, oh, just get enough sleep, but it truly is important to our mental well-being. In the depression cure, one of the doctor's patients was following all of the steps to help with her depression, but she was reluctant to try and give herself enough sleep. She said something on the lines of, oh, I'm so busy, I can't afford to get more sleep, but she was feeling lack of motivation and had difficulty concentrating and getting stuff done, which is a symptom of depression. But eventually, she decided to carve out more time to make sure she was getting adequate sleep. And she slowly found that her mood was better. So these are the 6 steps he talks about in the book. I highly suggest that you try them out and see if they help. One of the last things that I want to talk about is dopamine, because it is a critical aspect that plays a role in our happiness. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that helps control the brain's reward and pleasure centers. It's what makes us feel happy. And I know that when you're depressed, you don't have energy to do anything. But by doing just one simple yet productive thing, like making your bed, taking a shower, or walking your dog, you get a little dose of dopamine. And when you get a little dose of dopamine, you get more energy. And doing this one little thing makes all the difference, because eventually it becomes a habit, and then you can do more and start to get your life back. And if you can take anything from this video, it is to check in on your friends, because you never know if someone is struggling, and just by genuinely asking how someone is doing, you can really help someone's day. Even if you feel like nobody does care, just remember you're feeling that way because you're depressed, not because it's true. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it with someone you think this information could help. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video, if there's any other topics that you want me to cover, and if you guys have any other tips that can help with depression. Let's get the conversation started. I really hope that this information helped you guys, and I love you guys. Bye!